And look, if she wins the motion, ultimately she wins. But you don't do it by standing there 3 feet from you in your face and lying to the court.
I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just not. We are starting right now. It's 1:20. So both of you all have equally responsibility to do that. I'm not punishing anybody, but you know, but prior preparation prevents poor performance. I'm not gonna have any more discussion about this, madam. I'm not.
Imagine this courtroom drama unfolding in Atlanta. First, a star witness lands in jail for refusing to testify, only to have a sudden change of heart after a weekend behind bars. Then, things escalate as the lead defense lawyer himself is arrested, accused of suggesting that an improper secret meeting led to the witness's reversal. This is all part of the riveting gang and racketeering trial involving none other than chart-topping rapper Young Thug. As this epic legal battle approaches its 18th month since jury selection began, the twists and turns continue to astonish observers and participants. Why is Young Thug on trial? In May 2022, Young Thug was indicted by a Fulton County grand jury. A second indictment followed in August of the same year, which implicated Young Thug and 27 others in a conspiracy to violate Georgia's Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO. The combined indictments included a total of 65 felony charges, with 6 specifically against Young Thug. The trial took a dramatic turn when Judge Ural Glanville held Brian Steele, Young Thug's lead attorney, in contempt of court. This unprecedented action stemmed from Steele's refusal to disclose the source who informed him about a closed-door meeting involving the judge, prosecutors, a reluctant witness, and their legal counsel. During proceedings, Steele argued that the meeting violated constitutional rights as a defense was neither present nor informed. However, Judge Glanville focused on the revelation of the meeting's details rather than its procedural concerns. Subsequently, Steele was sentenced to a maximum of 20 days in jail for failing to disclose his source, marking a significant development in the complex legal battle surrounding Young Thug's case. "Listen, if you don't tell me how you got this information, then you and I are going to have some problems," the judge said in court, to which Mr. Steele responded, "I have problems right now." Judge Glanville, who has overseen the case since Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, was indicted alongside 27 others in May 2022, appeared increasingly frustrated when he continued, "How did you get that information supposedly from my chambers? Did somebody tell you?" Mr. Steele snapped back, "You should have told me." The courtroom drama reached a boiling point, risking to disrupt the already tumultuous and intricate case. This legal saga has been marred by delays, unexpected incidents, such as a defendant being knifed while in jail, witnesses refusing to cooperate, distractions outside legal bounds, and palpable tension among all parties involved. "It's a complete circus, straight out of Law and Order," said Anthony Michael Crease, a constitutional and civil rights law professor at Georgia State University who has observed the trial. "So often I have to disabuse people of the notion that court is like those shows, but yesterday the dramatics just overshadowed everything, and that's really not helpful to the process."
You're telling me that I've already made up my mind at that point in time. It was all but a certain conclusion.
Caused no other time.
I am offended because it's not true in terms of what you were given.
Jury, before you found somebody expert to say this person's going to give expert and lay testimony.
Did you object at that point in time, sir?
Because you already instructed the jury that that witness was going to provide expert and lay testimony.
Did you object at that point in time?
The ex parte solution. Brian Steele, Young Thug's lead attorney, argued that Judge Glanville failed to promptly disclose the meeting, a procedural requirement crucial for ensuring a fair trial. "That's the kind of thing a defendant can argue deprive them of a fair trial," said Lester Tate, a trial lawyer and the former president of the State Bar of Georgia. According to prosecutors from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's office, Mr. Williams allegedly led YSL, Young Slime Life, a faction of the National Bloods gang. They accuse him of orchestrating a criminal conspiracy involving charges ranging from slayings and attempted slayings to armed robbery, witness intimidation, and drug trafficking. The indictment hinges on Georgia's RICO Act, the same statute used by Ms. Willis to indict former President Donald Trump and others in a separate case alleging a conspiracy related to the 2020 election. Recent complications in Mr. Williams' trial arose when key prosecution witness Kenneth Copeland, also known as Little Woody, refused to testify despite being granted immunity. Invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, Copeland's silence underscored the legal complexities surrounding witness cooperation. An interrogation video of Copeland discussing YSL activities was leaked online, intensifying scrutiny and concerns about witness intimidation within the case.
And look, if she wins the motion, ultimately she wins. But you don't do it by standing there 3 feet from you in your face and lying to the court.
I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just not. We are starting right now. It's 1:20. So both of you all have equally responsibility to do that. I'm not punishing anybody, but but prior preparation prevents poor performance. I'm not gonna have any more discussion about this, madam. I'm not.
Uncooperation continues. Following a contentious episode in court, Kenneth Copeland, who had been held in contempt and spent a weekend in jail, reluctantly returned to testify but remained uncooperative. When asked to identify a defendant, Copeland cited vision problems and stonewalled basic questions posed by prosecutors. After a lunch break, Brian Steele, Young Thug's lawyer, voiced concerns about the circumstances under which Copeland was compelled to testify, alleging potential coercion and witness intimidation by Judge Glanville and the prosecutors. Judge Glanville, in his contempt order and subsequent incarceration decision, expressed serious concerns about the improper disclosure of information to the defense and found Steele's claims about the nature of the communication troubling. The judge scheduled a hearing for June 25th, where Copeland and his lawyer, Kayla Bumpus, along with others present during the private conversation, would need to justify why they should not be held in contempt for disclosing information to Steele and the defense. In response to the contempt order, Colette Resnick Steele, who is Brian Steele's wife and legal partner, promptly filed a notice of appeal and a motion seeking to overturn the ruling. It certainly cannot be the law that every time a judge asks a question, the failure to answer lands you in jail, Ms. Steele wrote in her filing. This could be a huge turning point in the trial, Mr. Cree said. It's been a complete zoo sometimes, and you could say, well, that's not great, but the case moves along. I'm less confident about that now.
So if you could state and spell your first and last name for the record, please.
Kenneth Copeland. Ma'am?
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Mr. Copeland, given the fact that you have invoked your Fifth Amendment privilege, but the state has already given you immunity, this court holds you in willful contempt, and we'll see you on Monday. Take him into custody.
Motion for mistrial denied. Following the denial of Mr. Steele's motion for a mistrial, a dramatic sequence unfolded. He was ordered to remove his tie and promptly taken into custody. However, he was later allowed back into the courtroom to observe as Kenneth Copeland continued his testimony. The following day, Mr. Copeland continued his testimony with Mr. Steele present. In a remarkable turn, Mr. Steele requested to serve his jail time, mandated to be every weekend for the next 10 weekends, alongside Mr. Williams so they could continue working on the case together. Judge Glanville responded, "Sir, if that comes to pass, you have my support." In a display of solidarity, around 24 other defense attorneys gathered at the courthouse, led by Ashley Merchant, who gained prominence in the Trump election case. She filed court documents alleging a secretive relationship between Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Nathan J. Wade, the special prosecutor hired for the Trump-related case. Lester Tate, a former president of the Georgia Bar Association, described Mr. Steele's incarceration as incredibly extraordinary, criticizing the judge's decision to jail a lawyer for performing his duties. Tate emphasized the tangled legal rationale behind the move, calling it unacceptable. The trial itself, already the longest criminal trial in Georgia's history, commenced jury selection on January 4, 2023, followed by opening arguments over 10 months later. By April, defense lawyers argued in a motion that at its current pace, the trial could extend into 2027 without adjustments. Judge Glanville urged prosecutors to streamline their witness list, initially comprising 400 potential witnesses, with fewer than half having been called to testify thus far. "I understand the frustrations of this case for Judge Glanville," Mr. Tate said. "No judge and no lawyer tries a case for over a year and doesn't make errors. You're not entitled to a perfect trial, but this one has a certain circus-like atmosphere and a string of bizarre happenings. This might well be the straw that breaks the camel's back." Judge must recuse. The ongoing YSL RICO trial involving rapper Young Thug and his co-defendants has reached a critical juncture as efforts to recuse Chief Judge Ural Glanville have stalled proceedings. Since Monday, the trial has been on hold amid motions seeking Glanville's removal from the case. Adding to the complexity, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Rachel Krause recently ordered the state to submit a written response by Monday regarding the recusal motions filed against Glanville. The order, issued Tuesday, emphasized the urgency due to the trial suspension pending resolution of these motions. However, just before Krause issued her directive, attorneys representing Diamante Kendrick filed a motion pushing for the disqualification of all Fulton County Superior judges from ruling on the recusal motions. The motion argued for an impartial judge outside of Fulton County to handle Kendrick's recusal motion to ensure fairness. On July 1st, Judge Glanville himself issued an order stating that another judge would determine the recusal matter, prompted by a motion from Young Thug's attorney Brian Steele. Steele alleged that an unlawful, improper ex parte meeting took place on June 10th, involving the court and prosecutors after witness Kenneth Copeland refused to testify. Judge Glanville declared during proceedings, "This written order is entered. I will enter the order transferring it, and until such time those two things are decided, then we will be in recess until that time," with Steele attentively observing the courtroom. That's all for this video, folks. Thanks for watching.